For those of you who were watching us live a few minutes ago, when I was down by the river, my phone died and we lost that recording. So, so we're going to just pretend like we never talked this morning, right, Charmaine?
Starting fresh. A full clean slate.
All right. So, Charmaine, you're an Olympian, you're a Calgary businesswoman, you are a fitness guru and fat loss expert and a mom and a wife, and tell us how you got into the world of Olympic snowboarding.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and it's gonna be fun to chat. So I find it interesting talking about this. It feels so long ago. However, I enjoyed skiing as a kid. I grew up here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we would go skiing, ski weekends to Sunshine Village and things like that. And then I started snowboarding here and there in my teens. And when I was 18, I actually went with my little brother, who was a competitive snowboarder, and I was like, I'm going to enter this competition. I'm not that bad at snowboarding. So I entered, and it was a half pipe competition, and I ended up dead last, and it didn't stop me. I actually I just loved it. I loved the competition. I'd never been competitive in anything, and I just decided I want to do this. I want to pursue this sport. And I was in grade 12 at that time. I was 18 years old, and I took my spare periods at high school. I would drive up to the local ski hill and practice, and within a few months I knew I wanted to pursue this. And so I hired a coach. I got on a little team, and I was like way older than everyone else. They were all like 13 and I was 18. And I just started training, and within I set my goals high. I was like, I want to go to the 2010 Olympics, which maybe most people thought was like a pipe dream. But I knew if I worked hard, like I really had this conviction that anything would be possible if I worked hard at it. And that's kind of what I'm proud about that story, is that I didn't take other people's opinion as my reality. And I think that's so important as entrepreneurs. If it's in our heart and we're willing to work hard for it, not even hard, but put the hours in and do the work, then we can accomplish very amazing things. And
Yeah. I think I find there's one of two reasons why people are telling us we can't do it. It's either because they're jealous and they want to do it, but they don't have the energy or the time, or something they feel is holding them back, that they don't want you to achieve that success. It's like a jealousy. I hate to admit that, but I really do feel like that's been true for me in my life with some of the things I've wanted to do. And then the other reason is they don't want you to get hurt if you fall on your face. They don't want you to feel failure. They think failure is bad, right? I think a lot of people think failure is bad, and I definitely don't believe that. I think failure is awesome. And I think, my son, for example, I've never been the kind of person or mother to say, don't go out and try for that big goal, whether or not I think he can achieve it, because what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, so good for you for just charging ahead when you weren't necessarily getting a ton of encouragement. And when you were feeling like you were way older than the other kids, and like maybe you shouldn't be, like, yeah, good for you for being different and chasing your dreams. So you went to this is one thing that I don't even really know. Like, you went to the Olympics, you met like all the standards, you achieved, you hit, you exceeded the bar, and then you get there, and what happened?
All right, Fempreneurs, before we continue on with this interview with Charmaine Ironside, I just wanted to say that I did take a week off last week from the podcast because we had our first ever YYC Fempreneurs Christmas party, and it was awesome. I'm going to put some videos. If you're watching this on YouTube, you already know that there's going to be some videos at the end, some little clips from the party. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or any of those, you can head over to YouTube and actually watch this recording, the video of it, on YouTube at youtube.com/LyndsiBarrie. We're going to be having more live in-person events in the Calgary area and some virtual events. No matter where you are, you can join us for those events. early in 2022. And if you want to get invites to those events, you need to be on our email list, which you can do. You can sign up for at yoycfempreneurs.com. All right, let's jump back into the interview.
Well, yeah, so when I was 18, I started competing. I think I was 21 when I was invited to be on the Canadian development team. And then another year later, I was on the Canadian national team, going World Cups all over the world, representing Canada. And I was ranked second in Canada, so the top 4 would represent our country at the Olympics in 2010 in Vancouver. And I was ranked second in Canada, and this was 11 months before the Olympics. So, I mean, I was like on an upward trajectory, like things were going really well. And then I ended up crashing in a training accident, and I actually burst my T12 vertebrae into like 100 pieces. I was almost paralyzed. I remember going to the hospital in Banff, and they said, like, you need to go straight to Calgary in an ambulance. Like, I wasn't moving. I couldn't move my legs. I was terrified that I was paralyzed fully. And so I remember with my dad, I remember looking at my dad after they told him what was happening, and they told him I need to go for emergency surgery. They didn't know if I would ever walk again, and they needed to take all the pieces of bone that were in my spinal cord and try to put a cage in my back and like try to piece my spine back together. And anyways, there are lots of details and lots of things happened, but I had to relearn how to walk. The doctor said you won't snowboard again. And this is part of what I was sharing before, but I never, and this can be a blessing and a curse, but I'm grateful for this, is I never take someone else's diagnosis as my reality. Just like when people say you're too old to start snowboarding competitively, or you won't have a successful business, don't bother, or you might never snowboard again or even walk properly again. I was just like, that just fuels me, which is kind of like a sick thing, but maybe that's a good entrepreneur trait. Is like when someone tells me I can't do something, I'm like, let me show you how I can. And so it's kind of funny. I've done that in a lot of places, and sometimes it bites me, but I still wouldn't take that trait away.
Wow. So you were so close to competing at the Olympics, and you crashed and everything changed for you. So the diagnosis.
The cool part of the story, well, the icing on the cake was I did snowboard again. And I actually 9 months later was at the Olympic qualifier before the 2010 games. I'm like, I'm going to do my darndest to get back like into the fold. And I ended up actually crashing at that event, breaking my tailbone. And the doctor was like, and this is when a doctor I really took their advice and was like, okay, he's like, you have to take care of your body. You're going to have a ton of issues if you don't. And like, he just sat me down and lovingly explained, if I kept doing this to my body, I was probably going to end up paralyzed. And so it was enough for me to say, okay, I'm not going to push. And so I got to be actually an Olympic forerunner and an alternate for our team. So I got to be at the 2010 games with the team. So I got to kind of have, it was bittersweet because I wanted to be really, competitive, but that was kind of how I was able to go out peacefully, I guess you could say, and knowing I did everything I could, because I really did. I worked my butt off to recover, and I'm grateful for that too, because I don't think I'd be as functional as I am today if I hadn't really worked hard,
Yeah. And I think you were saying earlier too that you had sort of trained differently than what you were seeing the other snowboarders doing. You were doing more powerlifting, weightlifting, and they weren't doing that? Or what was the difference between, and that you weren't even necessarily being encouraged to train the way you were training, you were doing what you thought was good? Or how did that work?
Yeah, well, back then, this is nowadays, I think most snowboarders train in the gym, but back then it wasn't, when I first started, it wasn't really that popular, and it was more casual, go rock out some tricks and just have fun.
Just do the sport, and that's your training, and that's it?
Just snowboard, yeah. And so
Wow.
I knew a decent amount about fitness and exercise. And I actually was when I was 19, I started kinesiology at university. So I loved learning about the body. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to leapfrog and work really hard to get to the Olympics if I want to try to start when I'm 18. So that's what kind of got me like in the gym, training, setting goals. I was like a huge geek. Like you would see me hiking the half pipe, and like I had little drills and stuff. Like I was really geeky about, but now that wouldn't be geeky, that would be normal. But I was really like specific how I trained, and I always had my high intention and my goal list, and I would check things off, and I was always very focused on my goal. And so I know that was why I was able to achieve what I did in a short time.
Wow.
And I think for entrepreneurs, it's the same thing. Be geeky, have a to-do list, have an intention. We do the work every day. That's the secret. There's no secret sauce. There's no perfect system. It's like show up, do the work, measure your success, celebrate your success, set a new goal. It's just like a formula. And I loved the formulaic nature of it. You put in the work, you get the reward.
Yeah. So you had all this knowledge of fitness from your kinesiology degree. You paired that with becoming an actual Olympic athlete. So you had the proof of the pudding. At what point did that spark go, ignite in you to have your own business, like the Ironside Fitness business that you eventually opened?
Yeah, well, once snowboarding became not an option really, because my body did have some physical limitations and I just couldn't get back to where I was, no matter how hard I tried physically and mentally. I have only 50% of the nerves in my left leg fire now. And so there wasn't really, it's not like, I still tried and I still believe I do believe there's power of the mind and all that. But physically, it wasn't safe to keep doing what I was doing. So I shifted my focus to my education, and I ended up becoming a kinesiologist, which is like a fancy word for it. It's like a gym teacher, kind of like at university. That's actually not really what it is, but it's learning about the human body. It used to be called phys ed. Anyway, so I decided to become a personal trainer, and I just loved how I could help people get stronger physically and mentally and emotionally. And I thought, okay, this will just be like a part-time side job while I go and become a physical therapist or a chiropractor or something. And then I ended up just loving it. And I thought, I have this like entrepreneurial drive too. So I started working at a gym, and I'm getting paid $20 an hour. And the people are paying $80 a session. And I'm thinking there's something wrong here. And I was like, really, I don't know. I didn't love the way the gym was run either. So then I decided I'm going to find somewhere that I can just train my clients and rent space and kind of run my own business. And that was the start of Ironside Fitness.
Yeah. And then your husband got on board. Is he a trainer as well? What's his background? What does he do?
He's a civil engineer. And he got certified as a trainer. He's fit. He likes fitness. He actually, since all of this COVID and our businesses shutting down, he's gone back to engineering. But yeah, as soon as I went from renting space to actually opening my own studio, he actually left his career as an engineer, 6-figure career, and just came and helped me build Ironside for 7 years. We worked on it together to make the 2 studios, and he was amazing. He did all the things that I was not good at. So I was very
grateful. So you guys are just a team. You're the perfect team.
Yeah.
So tell us the numbers again. You had, like you said, 500 members?
Yeah, we had, when we ended up closing, we had close to 500 members, 23 staff, including like admin and trainers. And yeah, I mean, I know I was sharing a little bit about like what happened with that. And long story short, as everyone experienced in March 2020, we heard these rumblings about this virus. And I remember I remember my daughter came home and she said, "Mom, Ellie said that it's part of everyday life now." And I remember the virus, and I was like, no, that's not true. Like,
right.
it's not, like, I was just like, had no idea. I thought it was just going to be a little thing. And little Ellie knew. Anyways, but so we shifted online. I think it was March 17th or something like that we went online. And then we pivoted quickly, which I was really proud of. Our team went online. We got all these Zoom sessions going. And unfortunately, we weren't in a position financially to weather much of a storm. And that's a huge entrepreneur lesson for me. We should, I believe, have a safety net and some money saved so that if we need some downtime or the economy crashes or COVID hits, we have a little bit of a buffer. And we didn't have that. And so a lot of clients put their memberships on hold, stop paying membership fees. And no fault to them. If they don't want to be online, I get it. And we didn't really, I was kind of short-sighted thinking this won't last long. And my husband knew the numbers. That's something else as an entrepreneur I've learned in the last 2 years is like, you got to know your own numbers. Like, I was very head in the sand. I don't want to know. I just want to have fun. I want to run a business. But like, he was the one with the numbers. And he finally said, Charmaine, we have less than a month of payroll. And like, we're not going to be able to pay our staff if we keep going. And once I saw that, like, paper, the numbers, it clicked for me, like, and I was exhausted too. I was mentally, physically exhausted from just grinding and trying to keep the place alive. And so I made that, I guess it was a decision. Some people would say I could have fought harder, taken more loans and all the kinds of stuff. But I just said, I don't want to fight. I don't want to go into more debt. So we ended up just letting our staff and members know that we weren't going to be operating Ironside Fitness anymore. And they were like, oh, like, you're coming back, right? And I'm like, no, like, we're letting the leases go. Like, we're done. And so it was a really sad time and a hard decision. And I mean, in retrospect, I cannot imagine running a studio right now. I couldn't do it. I would not check vaccine passports. I couldn't do it. It would break my heart. So I'm so grateful to be out right now. And not to say I'll never be back in. And I'm not against the thing, by the way. It doesn't feel right to me to check someone's health records to go to a gym. Yeah, totally. And that's my own opinion. But it would be soul crushing to me.
Yeah. So you, that's a lot.
Sorry, that was heavy.
That's like, that must, like, you just breezed us through what sounds like the most difficult thing you, like, aside from your back injury, probably the most difficult thing, you went through. And the thing I'm kind of feeling like, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. Obviously, I have no idea. But the thing that's different about this, closing the business is it affected so many people. You getting a back injury, affects you and your immediate circle. I mean, you shutting your business and all these people that, they looked forward to coming to the gym, to the community, to seeing your face, seeing each other, your staff. Like, that must have just been like, no wonder you tried to just put your head in the sand and be like, it's going to be okay. Cause like, that just must have been the most awful day to tell all those people it's not happening anymore. It's done. It's over. Like, wow. Can you I don't want you to be dramatic or cry or anything, but like, I just feel like I want to know what that would be like that day. What were you feeling? Like, how did you cope? Did you drink a lot of alcohol? Did you take a lot of hot baths? Like, what did you do?
I do baths now and tea, but back then it was definitely wine. But yeah, I mean, and to be transparent, I learned a lot of lessons through all of it. I actually tried to keep a strong face and like try to not tell anyone how much of a struggle it had been and how much of a struggle it was. Hi, Jody. One of our coaches just jumped on. But that's my biggest regret, is not being more transparent with the staff and the clients and saying, we're struggling. I don't think we're going to make it. But I tried to push and keep it going and put on a brave face every day. And then it was like, boom, we're not going to make it. We're done. And it was too dramatic, and it didn't have to be so dramatic. And the only reason it was because of my pride and my just not really ever asking for people's support. And I'm better at that now. I tell people when I'm struggling now, and I share what's going on, and I'm transparent. And I wasn't like that as a business owner. I was very private. And so, yeah, I hold, the worst part was telling my 2 full-time staff, because they were full salary. The rest of the staff it was hard too, but they were, they all had a lot of other things going on. But I wish I had shared more of the journey, what had been, what came up to that day, because it came as such a shock to them. And if I had been more honest and transparent, it didn't have to be like that. And now we don't have a relationship. I don't know if there's hard feelings, but there's definitely not a friendship, and we were close. We rode together and made that business a go for many years. So that's painful to share, because it's still a hole. It's still not, I don't hold any resentment, of course. I just I feel sad. I mean, I hurt those people, and I've tried to make amends, but I think it's sometimes you just can't go back. You can try, but the writing's on the wall. So that's my big learning, is be honest and just share. And you don't need to be this hero that's carrying all the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I bet they could have helped, and they could have done more, and we could have found other solutions if I had been more collaborative. So I do have some regret there, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying that at the peak of your business, right before the C word hit, things were rocking, and you weren't seeing your daughter very much. Pretty much her whole upbringing was you building a business simultaneously. And so that sounds like a positive of you leaving that business and that kind of stress and that kind of, all those energy suckers that used to be the business. Now she's getting that from you. Is that?
Yeah. And I mean, I've shared this a few times, and I never share it lightly, but this whole last 2 years has been the biggest wake up call for me. It's actually been such a blessing for me to be able to take a step back. And I think everyone got to be stuck at home and reevaluate their lives. And if someone didn't do that in the last 2 years, I'm you missed an opportunity, because I think, not that you can't do it now, but it's I feel you couldn't ignore yourself. You had to look at your patterns and your stuff. And I mean, double on top of that, losing a business or closing a business abruptly. I learned a lot, and then it shifted to this is actually, and I hate saying it because I know so many clients were hurt by this and missed the studio greatly, and still miss it. I still get messages, people saying, I still haven't found a community like yours. I haven't been exercising, and it breaks my heart, because it was a special place. It was there for over 7 years, and some of the people, their friendships started there. And but just that's kind of off topic, but in terms of my family, it ended up being such a blessing, because I was forced home, and I was forced to take time with my kid, and both my kids, but especially my daughter. And I realized I could not believe what a cool little person she was, and how much I did not know that, because I wasn't present with her, and I was too busy with the studio. I was a workaholic, and I think it could have been any business, but that business was not easy. I felt I had to be there all the time, or a lot. We had 2 locations. And so it's almost because I'm such a proud person, I wouldn't have shut them down. I wouldn't have walked away. I would have just kept fighting for it. And then it would have just been more years of never realizing how much I was missing with my kids.
Yeah.
So it's like a blessing in disguise, I would say.
Right. But you haven't stopped supporting people and helping them with their fitness through classes, live classes with you, of course, virtually now. And you're still doing some personal training, you know, one-on-one here and there where you can. Like, you're still operating in the role that you did before, minus all the admin stuff and the managing other people and staff. Like, you're still available if they want you. It just looks different now, right?
Yeah. And I always dreamed of having an online business, and I never quite did it. And then it was like forced, and now I love it. It's so simple. It's so fun. Simple is my number one, like my business is simple. It's fun. It's easy to run. It gets people results. It makes an impact. Like, those are the things that are important to me. But simple is like one at the top of the list, because I don't want complicated. I don't want a million moving parts. I don't have that anymore, and I love it. I love just simplicity, especially at this stage of life. I mean, I love to go to I'd love to go teach a live class with like people that I could high five, and I will, you know, sooner or later. But I love the online right now, and it works, and it's convenient, and I can still share my energy. And in fact, I think I have to be more energetic online to get that across. So that's been kind of fun. That's been kind of fun too. Is like raising my energy.
Can you speak to, speaking like of this raising the energy and doing things a little differently online? Can you speak to the personal trainers and the people that worked in the fitness industry, you know, pre-2020, that are trying to build their online businesses? Like, how did you do it? Like, what did you do that you look back and think, I totally nailed that, and thank God I did that way, or thank God I sent that email and said that thing, or whatever? Like, anything like that come to mind?
I mean, in terms of being online, I think it's focusing on like who wants that, and like what are the benefits. There's no drive time. You don't have to be embarrassed at the gym if you're kind of a private person. You know, it's really efficient. It's effective.
Yeah. No one can smell you.
Nobody can smell you. You don't have to wear deodorant or brush your teeth before you work out. Like, and so there's benefits there. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like from a marketing perspective, one of the biggest things I've learned is like, we don't sell like the thing, like the fitness, we share about the benefit of it. So like, it's like they say, don't sell the airplane. Like, you're going to sit in a seat, and you're going to put on a seatbelt, and you're going to wear a mask, and you're not going to be able to move for 3 hours. They don't sell that. They sell the destination. You're going to be on a beach in Mexico drinking a pina colada. So then it's kind of like that. It's kind of like your clothes are gonna fit well. You're gonna have all day energy. You're going to love what you see in the mirror. You're gonna live a long life. You're gonna move well, and you're gonna hike, and you're gonna be the first in the pack instead of the last in the pack. And it's like you share that vision of why we do it. Sell the result, like Stacy said. And I used to be like, we're gonna do squats, and we're gonna do this perfect form, and we're gonna, you know, do a movement analysis. And sure, some people love that and eat that up, but I'm like, now I realize, like, no, people want to know, like, how's it going to change their life? And that's what's going to get them emotional and excited enough to do it consistently. So that's like a little marketing thing, but I don't know. I don't think I have it. Yeah, nobody wants to do burpees. That's so funny Stacy said that, because I still struggle with that, to be honest. I'll be transparent. My weight loss business has grown, but my fitness business has stayed steady. And most of the people that are doing it came from the studio and went online and stayed online. So I'm not a pro at getting new clients in terms of fitness. I can do it for fat loss, but for fitness, it's like what Stacy said. I'm like trying to be like, let's do burpees. They're so fun. And I don't think that message resonates with most people. So I got to take my own advice and remember that people want the body of their dreams and the feel good and all of that. They don't want to know what it's going to take. They don't want to sit in the chair on the airplane and smell recycled air and eat pretzels and be stuck for 3 hours. They want to be on the beach, and we got to sell that destination, right? Anyway, that's a little side tangent.
Well, no, but that's exactly what I wanted you to share, was something like that. Some of those tactical things that these personal trainers can do, because, you know, a lot of them are similar to you in that they've got, you know, a few hundred contacts, people that have trained with them in the past, and now they're trying to turn them into online clients, but they're obviously not delivering the message in the right way, you know, and sometimes it's just not the right time. But I think ultimately it's not like, you know, 8 weeks of twice a week for, you know, $3.95 includes a monthly check-in and meal planning meeting. Like, that's describing the seat and the crappy airplane food. That's not describing the results. So I think your marketing tip that you just shared is so awesome. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. I used to resist marketing and think it like, no, I'll build it and they will come. I did that with our studio and no one came. So I think it's the best thing as an entrepreneur to fall in love with marketing and not see it as the sleazy, salesy thing, but see it as this is how you're going to get someone to get emotional enough to change their lives. And I used to think of it, oh, I don't want to be pushy, but actually it's not pushy. It's just being excited about what you offer and knowing it will transform someone's life. And they feel that, and then they register, and then they change their life. Otherwise, they just keep doing the same old thing they've always done and get the same result. And so, yeah, I had to really change my attitude about marketing.
Yeah, I think you obviously do a good job of being excited about the results and being excited for them and the results that you believe confidently they can achieve, and then they start to believe it too. Like, that's the energy I get from you, is like you've got this real calm, cool, collected, kind of badass, like, but caring too. Like, you've got this really good vibe about you, and then when you put it into words, like all the things you just said, like you're gonna have energy, you're gonna go hiking, you know, your clothes are going to fit well, like all those things, like that's like, I can see why people get excited to keep around you, really. And I think that's a big part of it, is like being a person that people want to be around, because, you know, you got to be fun. And you were saying you've got to be more fun and more exciting now that it's online. And so that's pretty awesome. Do you do little contests or any kind of things to keep the excitement going, or to make things new, or like how have you kind of built that excitement and changed the way it works now online?
Well, I mean, this might sound, I know you're asking before about specifically for trainers, but like, yeah, I think it's important to have some community aspect or some connection. And I was always big on that at Ironside Fitness. High fives, which turns into elbow bumps, which then was like air high fives because of the virus, or whatever. But I'm like, high fives. I'm like, come on over here. Like, I'm like, give me a virtual high five. Like, I'm not kidding around. Or like, we cheers our water bottles. I asked them to, like, we're going to do cardio. Let me know in the chat your favorite cardio. I do little, like, competitions, like how many of this can you do in the next 2 minutes, and then type it in the chat, and like I make it kind of interactive, because I do group workouts, but even one-on-one, I mean, I think the energy is different, but it's so important. It's not really about the workout, it's like, how do they feel during and after it, and what does their brain remember about it? And if it's boring and it's always the same.
Oh, I think maybe her phone's ringing. Is she coming back? Hello? Charmaine, you're frozen. All right, well, hopefully Charmaine comes back to us here. Oh, she has to come back in. There we go. I think she's coming back. There she is. Oh, no, we lost her. Okay, where'd she go? There she is. Okay, we'll get her back here. There you are. Did your phone ring?
It just zipped me out of there.
Oh, weird. Okay, well, we're good.
Sorry.
No, it's all good.
anyways, if anyone's watching and wants to know more, like a way to make your workouts more engaging, I could talk for days about that. But I think if it's not fun, then no one's going to stick to it.
Yeah.
Or if there's not variety or results. I mean, some people are just there for the result, and that's great.
Yeah.
And then it can also be fun. And for me, it's not just about fitness. It's about mindset and liking what you see in the mirror and celebrating your body and listening to your body. And so it's like more than just a workout to me. And you'll never hear me say like critical stuff. I'm like, I just want people to feel so good, and just even that they showed up. They don't even do anything for 40 minutes and they just march on the spot. It's like, at least you showed up and gold star. I just don't think, especially for people that exercise is a chore, I want exercise to be fun and that you look forward to it. And so there's lots of mindset stuff intertwined too.
So you were saying that this new business, like you basically have a new business now. It's way simpler and you love it. And you said that before when you had your business, it was like paycheck to paycheck, massive overhead, massive income, but they were kind of doing this all the time. And I think you said before, like when you had a chunk of money, all of a sudden you're like, woo, new equipment, invest it back into the business, buy mugs for my team. Like you were just like all about the business. And now you don't really have any of that, but you have a pretty decent income based on our conversation. Like, I don't know, like tell us more about how you structure it. Like how many workouts per week? Is there one price point, or do people get an option of different memberships? Like how are you running that part of your business now?
Yeah, well, I mean, a big thing that I learned from having business coaches in fitness is like, it has to be evergreen. It has to be continuity. You're not going to be like, here's sell 6 sessions or a drop-in card. That's the recipe for like failure from what I learned, and it resonated because my job is to get results and to build community and to get people to be consistent. So if I'm selling a drop-in pass, that's not consistent. And I know for some people that works, and that's awesome. I'm not trying to poo-poo that, but my passion was like, let's get you really strong and fit. And like, that doesn't happen with one workout a month, you know? And I mean, one workout a month is better than no workout. But anyways, I kept it simple. And so it's just a weekly membership they pay, and they can pause it. They can stop at any time, and then if people want to pay for 6 months in advance, they can get a discount that way. But yeah, it's very simple. It's not like our old business. We had all these different pay structures: once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, unlimited, and then like paid in advance. Anyways, it was too confusing. So now I'm like, we've got basically just one thing, and it's just nice. And people say, I wish you had a drop in. It's like, hey, I get that, and it's not my philosophy. I want to get to know you. I want to know your injuries. I want to know what your goals are. I want to build a relationship that's not just like, see you once a month, and you know. And I think there's a quote, I don't know if it's a quote, but it says, when you pay attention. And so if someone knows that every month or every week there's something coming out of their bank account, they're investing their money, they're going to invest their time and energy too. And that's just how it works. It's like a law. And so I'm like, it's same with me with coaches. If I don't pay and it's just a freebie, I don't value it. I don't show up. But if I know I'm putting out good, well-earned money every month, I show up on the coaching calls and I do the work. And so that's why I'm also passionate about, like, I want them to put some skin in the game, and I don't want this to be some freebie thing, because I mean, I do free workouts too, because once in a while, just to, you know, share and serve. But the people that see the best results really like come 2 or 3 days a week consistently for months, and then they get to start reaping the reward.
So you do 3 group classes a week for that fee that you charge.
Yeah, and Jody was just on here. I don't know if she's still on, but she's the other coach, and she actually stayed on with me from when we closed Ironside. And she's got like she's been like a group exercise instructor for 22 years. She's got great energy. And we found that to translate through the Zoom screen, you had to be bigger. You had to be more engaged. But yeah, Jen and one of my clients, Jen, just hopped on. So yeah, they pay, it's a weekly fee, $29 a week. And there's also a Facebook community. There's also other resources. I also do extra seminars on different topics here and there. And yeah, and we also send out all the recordings. So if they miss the live workout, send out the recording too. So
sorry, Jody is her name?
Jody, yeah, I don't know if she's still on.
So you and Jody are working as a team to train the members?
Yeah, so we have a 6 a.m. workout Mountain Time and then 9:30. And so we alternate. So if one does the 6, the other does the 9:30 and vice versa.
So like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or?
Yeah, Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's so
really
simple
fun.
and so perfect. Like,
and there's no excuse because like you just open your computer. It could be anywhere in the world. Dumbbell, we just use dumbbells and body weight. So it's like, I always like that idea of like, no, even body weight, like you don't need weights if you don't want weights. Like, I think, and also they're short, like I think they're short, 45 minutes, but we do like a full warm up, a full cool down and stretch. Like, but you don't need to be in the gym for an hour and a half. Like that's old school. I think that's what I do 3 days a week, and I lift and I challenge my body. And then the other days I go for a walk or, you know, a cross country ski or whatever. But that's what I love. I love the 3 day a week schedule. It works really well for me.
yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool to hear. And then when you do fat loss coaching, is that a group program and or a one-on-one, or how does that work?
Yeah, I've shifted now to just doing it in a group. It starts anytime, but it's a 12-week program, and I teach sort of everything I believe needs to be in place for successful fat loss for life. So nutrition's big, lifestyle change, like better sleep, less stress, you know, more self-care, that kind of stuff that a lot of weight loss programs ignore, I found. And then also mindset. So I've always found if you don't believe in yourself, or you don't think you're worthy, or you think you're going to fail again, or you think, you know, if you have some mindsets that aren't in line with where you're going, as you know, we're going to sabotage yourself. So I like to sprinkle the mindset in too. And then accountability is the biggest thing, because you could go on the internet and find a great weight loss plan, but the difference between knowing what to do and doing it consistently is like night and day, right? So I like maybe don't hold your hand, but I'm with you every step of the way. I'm checking in on you a couple times a week. We have group calls. And so it's not like, oh, here's your plan, good luck. It's like, no, there's checkpoints, there's support, there's motivation, all of that. So I think accountability is the number one thing I think most people are missing that struggle. And I missed it. I was missing it. So I'm really passionate about that. And that's partly like the workouts.
Yeah.
The people that show up live, it's like they set the time, they know I'm waiting for them or Jody. And it's like there's accountability there, right? Versus just saying, oh, I'll do a recording sometime later, which works for some people. But I think just knowing you've got a time in the schedule slotted for you makes such a difference for a lot of people. For me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great, I don't know. I know that there's probably some people, like you mentioned, that are out there that are a little bitter, but, you know, for you to be able to create the business that you wanted to create all those years, but didn't have the time or the understanding of how to stop being so busy with all those things and shift into this, and like the universe has put you here now doing these things, like it just sounds so meant to be. And so what a fantastic story, and just a really heartwarming story and inspiring story that you have. And I'm just really honored that you took the time to share it with all of the lovely ladies in Fempreneur land and beyond. So thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. That was really fun. And,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I think all of us can make something out of our challenges for sure. So I think
Definitely.
That's always an attitude I've had, is like, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I come out stronger than before? And I think that's such a good way to go through life, is like, this isn't happening to you. This is happening for you. And if you could literally losing my business, like having my business like decimated by a virus, like by COVID, happened for me. Mm-hmm. And only was I a victim for a few weeks, and I needed to grieve and all that. But then I was like, I've shifted to like, how can I learn and grow from this? And I think that's the best way to do life, is like every challenge. I mean, that's hard, easier said than done, but you know, even I'm having a procedure next week for like pre-cancer cells in my body. And I'm like, of course I'm a little scared, but I'm also like, why is the universe bringing this in my path? Like, what do I need to learn from this? What do I need to change in my lifestyle? What kind of self-care do I need to do? How do I need to heal emotionally? How do I need to be grateful for the medical system? Like, I'm like shifting to like, what do I need? How can I up level from this? And I think such a nicer way to do life than just, everything's happening to me. Everyone's against me. The world's against me. That's kind of how I used to live my life. And it's not fun. So I wanted to share that. But thank you so much, Stacy. I love all your comments. Stacy's been rocking it with us.
Nice. Thank you, Stacy. I can't see any of the comments.
Oh, really?
So there's something wrong with, by the way, I will chop the podcast episode like 5 seconds ago. But yeah, there's something with Instagram Live here where the entire time I'm live, it says, hang on, we're telling more followers to join your video. And I can't see any of the comments. So there must be something in my Instagram Live settings that I need to play with. Because, something's been weird lately. I don't know. Turn off requests to go live, share too. Anyways, okay, I'll let you get back to your day. Thank you again so much
for so fun. That was really cool. I'm going to, I want to do more of these. These are fun.
If you want to get in touch with Charmaine to get in touch with her for, joining her fitness community. So you want to show up for some of those workouts. If you want to get in touch with her about the fat loss coaching, Charmaine, how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest would just be message me here on Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well. I think I'm the only Charmaine Ironside. And I've got a 14-day trial of my workouts for $1. And I've got lots of good resources for fat loss without dieting and doing it in an enjoyable way. So happy to share.
All right, Fempreneurs, thank you so much for listening today. Right now, I'm going to give you a little teaser of what's coming up next week. I'm going to be interviewing Marilyn, and she came into Fempreneur Marketing School with her new business, ready to launch it out to the world. She's a personal trainer. She is a power lifter. And so she's got a really cool story to share with you about how she's maneuvered through all of the challenges that she's faced. And also she's got some really great marketing tips for you, things that she's learned since coming into the YYC Fempreneurs. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of that right now, and then I'll see you back here next week.
Moved to Calgary when I met my second husband, Kevin. Met him, and it was kind of those old-fashioned romances, and it's just awesome. Anyway, between the two of us, we have 7 kids. I left my career in Winnipeg behind and had to start a career here, and I ended up in a corporate secretary role, which for those who don't know, it's a senior governance role in a publicly traded organization. Trained hard, decided I was going to compete. And there we were. Some of my days I was lifting 7,000 pounds all combined, and it was wonderful. Like, I felt so safe with my coach. And anyway, and then it was, one of those nights in October when in Calgary we get that rain and the snow. And I didn't want to walk my dog, but I had to. I'd worked late because I had one of those careers that, it wasn't an 8 to 5 job. It was an 8 to 8 job, and I slipped and fell. It was dark out and it was cold. And when I fell, I went straight back. I was coming down a hill, hit the back of my head. I hit it so hard that I bounced twice before I stopped myself. Anyway, I couldn't get up, and I didn't know it at the time. Actually, I was very, very fortunate that a couple came along and helped me get a hold of my son who came to get me. When I passed that course, or that certification, I knew that I could begin training. So it was just like, okay, I'm not entirely ready, but I'm going to start business today.